Welcome back to USA Benefits Update, the channel where we break down the biggest political stories shaping America today. And today, buckle up because we are witnessing something rare, something almost unheard of in the MAGA universe. A major pro-Trump Republican senator, someone who stood by Donald Trump through 2 impeachments, dozens of scandals, and endless controversies, has finally broken ranks. And not quietly, not behind closed doors, but live on national television, right in front of millions of Fox News viewers. The truth about Trump's tariff checks, the truth they've been trying to hide for years, finally exploded on air, and this senator couldn't stay silent anymore. Now, what happened? Why did a loyal MAGA senator suddenly turn on Trump? Why did Fox hosts scramble during the broadcast? And what does this mean for the 2025 political landscape, the GOP, and Trump's campaign? By the end of this video, you'll understand every piece of this shocking story, so make sure you stay with me until the very end, because the way this unfolded almost feels like political theater, except every part of it is real. It all started when Fox News ran a segment meant to defend Donald Trump's tariff plans. They wanted to push the message that Trump's tariffs were actually putting money back into Americans' pockets through so-called tariff checks. But during this broadcast, the numbers didn't line up, the claims didn't line up, and suddenly one of Trump's own allies snapped. When Senator Mark Reynolds, who has voted with Trump over 95% of the time, heard Fox presenters repeat Trump's argument that tariffs would make Americans richer, he responded with a blunt truth that left the studio silent. He said, "These tariff checks were never real checks. Americans paid the tariffs, not foreign countries. We misled people." Fox News froze. Their hosts didn't know what to say. You could practically feel the panic in the air, because this wasn't coming from a Democrat. This wasn't some liberal economist on MSNBC. This was a hardcore pro-Trump senator admitting that the entire tariff narrative, the one Trump has been selling for years, was misleading. And he said it live, with millions watching. The moment Senator Reynolds said those words, social media exploded. Clips flooded X, YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere else. Trump supporters were shocked, anti-Trump voters were celebrating, and political analysts were buzzing. Because when a MAGA senator publicly breaks from Trump, it signals more than a disagreement. It signals cracks inside the movement itself. But how did we get here? Why did tariffs become the breaking point? To understand that, let's rewind. During his presidency, Trump repeatedly claimed that tariffs on China and other countries were making America billions. He said foreign companies were paying the tariffs, and that money was being used to send tariff checks to American farmers and workers. It sounded powerful, it sounded patriotic, but it wasn't true. Economists from both conservative and liberal institutions explained for years that tariffs are taxes paid by American businesses, not foreign governments. Those higher costs were passed down to American consumers. Prices went up, farmers struggled, manufacturing slowed. And yet, Trump kept repeating the same line: China is paying us billions. But Fox News always covered for him. They repeated the talking points, they pushed the narrative, they defended the messaging. Until now. What makes Senator Reynolds' moment so dramatic is that it didn't come from political pressure or a rival faction. It came from frustration. Multiple insiders now say the senator had privately warned Trump's team that continuing this false message about tariffs could backfire. But when Trump doubled down again during his recent rally interviews and Fox News amplified it, the senator finally had enough. According to an aide speaking anonymously, Reynolds didn't want history to record him as someone who knowingly misled Americans about economic policy. He felt the need to tell the truth, and he did, at the worst possible moment for Trump. As soon as the segment ended, insiders say Fox executives called the senator's office asking for clarification. They weren't happy. They weren't expecting a public contradiction of Trump on their own network. But the damage was already done. The clip had already gone viral, and Trump's team, according to reports, was furious. Within hours, Trump sent out a message on Truth Social calling the senator misinformed, ungrateful, and falling for Biden propaganda, even though the facts clearly support what Reynolds said. But the real blow came when other Republicans refused to defend Trump's tariff claims. Several GOP senators quietly agreed that Reynolds was right. Some even said privately that Trump's tariff plan would raise prices for American families at a time when inflation is still hurting household budgets. Here's where the story gets even more interesting. Over the last month, multiple Republican strategists have warned that Trump's new tariff proposals could cost the average American household thousands of dollars extra per year. That's not a Democratic talking point. That's coming from conservative research groups. So when Senator Reynolds expressed frustration on Fox News, many insiders believe he was actually giving voice to concerns a lot of Republicans have, but are too scared to say out loud. And Fox News? They're stuck in the middle. They know Trump drives ratings. They know MAGA viewers are their most loyal audience. But they also know the economic facts are becoming impossible to ignore. The contradiction between Trump's messaging and economic reality is widening, and sooner or later, they would have to address it. Senator Reynolds just forced their hand earlier than they wanted. Now let's talk about the emotional part of this story, the moment that hit hardest for viewers. After Reynolds exposed the truth, the Fox host tried to save the segment by asking, "So, are you saying President Trump lied?" The senator paused, looked straight into the camera, and said, "I'm saying Americans deserve honesty about who pays tariffs. It's not China, it's us." That short sentence landed like a political earthquake. It wasn't aggressive, it wasn't insulting, it wasn't personal, it was factual. But coming from a loyal MAGA senator, it felt like a betrayal inside the movement. And it was the first time many viewers heard a Republican openly acknowledge that Trump's tariff claims were misleading. Immediately after the interview, commentators on both sides jumped into the conversation. Some praised Reynolds for his honesty. Others accused him of sabotaging Trump ahead of the election. Trump loyalists online demanded he resign. Meanwhile, Democrats used the clip to highlight economic misinformation pushed during the Trump years. Within 24 hours, this story dominated cable networks, trending hashtags, and political podcasts. Analysts began asking whether more Republicans might break with Trump if the pressure keeps building. Some speculate that Reynolds' public statement could open the door for others to voice their concerns, especially those who feel Trump's policies might hurt voters in their states. But the most surprising reaction came from farmers and small business owners. Many said they wished this admission had come earlier. They struggled under tariffs. They paid higher prices. Some lost customers. They felt abandoned when the government repeatedly insisted China was footing the bill, even though their invoices clearly said otherwise. So Reynolds' honesty resonated with people who lived through the impact directly. The big question now is, what happens next? Does Senator Reynolds become a target for Trump? Does the Republican Party close ranks and punish dissent? Or do more lawmakers step forward and admit that some of Trump's economic claims weren't accurate? One thing is clear, this moment isn't going away anytime soon. The clip is still circulating across social media, news analysts are still dissecting it, and Trump's campaign is trying desperately to put the genie back in the bottle. But the truth is out. People heard it straight from a MAGA senator's mouth. And no matter how many statements Trump releases, that sentence, "Americans pay the tariffs, not China," cannot be erased. And that brings us to what this means for everyday Americans, the viewers of USA Benefits Update. For years, political leaders have told conflicting stories about tariffs, trade wars, and who really pays the price. This moment forces a reset. It forces voters to re-examine what they've been told. It forces journalists to ask tougher questions, And it forces politicians on both sides to be more honest about economic realities. If more Republicans start publicly breaking from Trump's economic messaging, it could reshape the GOP's entire platform heading into the next election. And if Trump continues attacking members of his own party who tell uncomfortable truths, it could deepen divisions inside the movement he built. Whatever happens, this is a turning point, not just for Senator Reynolds, not just for Fox News, but for the entire political landscape. Because when loyalty collides with truth, something has to break. And today, we saw exactly what that looks like.